Om Sri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatye Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Samasta Jan Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurun Brahmavidvaram Sadgurun Brahmavidvaram Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha Om Sri Tapovana Sishyaya Namaha Hari Om. Let us chant the Santi Patha of Kathopanishad, of Chandogya Upanishad. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotra Madho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirate Ye Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te Mai Santu Te Mai Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are now in Chandogya Upanishad, sixth khanda or sixth chapter and section 1. Last week we have completed 6 mantras of the section 1. And that section is primarily the introducing the characters. The characters are Aruneya, who is the teacher, and his son Swetaketu. So, in the first 6 mantras, the basic summary is the father sends the son to study in a Gurukula. He goes to Gurukula and studies for 12 years and returns. He studies well, but the Panditya gets to his head. In other words, he becomes arrogant. It shows up in his behavior. And so father notices that. A true education should make a person humble. Humility should increase. But in his case, he shows arrogant. And so the father asks him a question: have you received that particular adesha, because of which asrutam srutam bhavati? What is unheard becomes heard. Yena amatam matam bhavati. By that teaching, that which is not thought of becomes thought. Avijñātam vijñātam bhavati. By that teaching, unknown becomes known. So the son immediately becomes surprised. How is it possible, father? If you know one thing, you don't know the other. So you are saying if you know one thing, you know everything. So how is it possible? So then the father answers. In fact, if you see the questions, these 3 questions, You remember in Mundaka Upanishad, the question Mundaka Upanishad is asked is, Kasmin Bhagavan Vijnate Sarvam Vijnatam Bhavati, by knowing which everything becomes as though known. Very similar. So, by knowing which everything becomes known. That's the question in Mundaka Upanishad. Kasmin Bhagavan Vijnate Sarvam Vijnatam Bhavati. Anyway, so when the son asked, how is it possible? He gave three examples. Last week we covered this. He said, if we ekena mrutpindena sarvam mrunmayam vijnatam syat. Everything that is made of clay, whether it is a plate or a pot or a vase, everything made of clay will be known by knowing clay itself as raw material. Once you know the raw material as clay, everything made of clay is also known as clay. So everything is known. So if you know the cause, all products that come out of that cause are known. And then he gives another example. Ekena lohamanina sarvam lohamayam vijnatam syat. If you take a lump of gold, all the products of gold, such as bangles, necklaces, rings, they're all known because root cause, root material is the same. If you take a product made of gold, it's nothing but gold. If you take gold out, nothing remains. So it is only gold. You're only looking at the. And then, Yekena Nakha Nikuruntanena Sarvam Krishnayasam Vijnatam Syat. By knowing the nail cutter made of iron, all iron products are known. So they're all made of the same iron. Very good. This is it. So then what are then products? Yes, you are right. Materially, they are all known. But then what are these products? In the technical Vedantic language, he says they are all nothing but Vacharambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam. Vikaraha means effects. The effects of gold, effects of clay. There are effects, Vikar. The names of Vika, all the effects are nothing but words. They are based in the words. There is no material as such as part. You are only looking at it from the point of view of the use, vyavhara. But truth is one, but appearances are many. So the appearance is called mithya in Vedanta. Truth is the reality. So if you take the reality out of mithya, there is no name and form. So mithya is something that is only an appearance in truth. This will continue, but it's just a few words I am more. So the effects measured on them. So now in this particular context, you are given three examples which all make sense, but how can you extend it to the universe? Because the definition he said is, by knowing one, you know everything. By hearing about something, you know everything. By thinking about something, so he's talking about everything. Here you just gave a couple of three examples. How is it applicable to everything? That is called Mula Karana. The root cause of the whole cosmos, appearing names and forms in the whole universe is all essentially appearance in Brahman. which is you in your true self. Inside you, your world rises, but you are caught up in the names and forms. May you call it your wife, your children, your properties, whatever you call it, but they are appearing appearances in you. If you give reality to them, they take over your life. But they are not real without you. So who is the world? What is the world? World is an appearance in you as consciousness and existence. That is the root cause of the whole universe. We are going there, but I just sprinkled it so that Moola Karana, I don't just leave you hanging. Moola Karana means the Karana of everything, including gold, clay, and iron, and you and me and my children, my thoughts, all of them have a common cause. That is Moola Karana. Moola means root cause. If you take that out, whole world disappears. Existence and the knower of existence, Pramata, also, both of them are gone. So that is the introduction up to what we did last week. Now let us do mantra number 7 of the first section. Mantra number 7, please. Right. Navainunam Bhagavantaha. Okay, sorry. Navainunam Bhagavantasta etad avedishur yadhyetad avedishyan kadhammena vakshanniti Bhagavagum stvevameta bravittviti tadha somya iti hovacha. Let me read it. Navai noonam bhagavantasta etad avedishur yadhyetad avedishyan kadhammena vakshanniti Bhagavan stveva me tad bravitvi iti tadha somya hovacha. Here, this is spoken by the Swetaketu, the sun. Navai noonam bhagavantaha te etat avedishuhu. Here he is saying bhagavantaha means my gurus. Navai noonam etat avedishuhu. They don't know this at all. Bhagavantaha te etadu avedishuhu noonam na. So then he justifies that. Yadhi hi etad vedishyan, if they knew, kadhammena avakshanniti. If they knew, why would not they teach me? So I mean, he's assuming everything known, he was already taught. So he's just making that statement. Bhagavan tu eva me tad braviti iti. He's saying, Father, you only teach this to me. Just, I don't think my teachers knew about it. So you kindly teach. He said that. Tatha somya hovacha. Let it be so, his father said. Okay. So basically, the student is saying that A father, whatever may be the reason, they didn't teach me. Probably they don't know about it. You teach me. So that is the reward. Here, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, from in his commentary, I just want to read a paragraph from his commentary on this in this context. He says, अवाच्यम अपि गुरोः न्यग्भावम् अवादीत् पुनः गुरुकुलं प्रतिप्रेषण भयात्. What he's saying is, this boy, he knows that he should not present his teachers in a lowly sense. Nyadbhava. Nyadbhava means present in a lower sense. You should never talk lowly of your teachers and gurus. Even though he know that, he said it. Why Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying, Punaha Gurukulam Pratipreshana Bhayat. Probably he was afraid he might be sent back to the school, Gurukula. This is what Shankaracharya is just making a comment there. Ato Bhagavan tu eva me mahyam tad vastu ena sarvajñatvam jnatame jnatena me syat tad bravitu kathantu iti uktaha pita vacha tadhastu. That is why he said, go ahead. So that's Bhagavan's comment here. It's a very interesting comment he makes. So I wanted just to bring out that. So some other commentators, of course, Bhagavan's commentary is what we follow, Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Some other commentators even say that he might have thought his father is the one who started this, so might as well continue with my father, like that, you know. Or he has, his ego has been smashed by his father, so that's where he opened up. So like that, some other commentators elaborate. That is just a inference. But more importantly, silently, 2 points are made here. One is Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya has to be taught by a guru. And that too, when a student is ready, same thing happens in Bhagavad Gita also. Until Arjuna opens up and surrenders, Sri Krishna does not teach. Whole first chapter, basically Arjuna talks, Krishna he listens. And then second chapter, around 10th or 9th verse also, he surrenders. And then Krishna talks. There's a lot in this for us to learn. So same thing applies everywhere in the Upanishad thing. Generally, the discussion, the teaching is done in a conversational style because Brahma Vidya is something about ourselves, which we always overlook. We only, our attention is in the objects of the world and people and situations. But these are all possible because of our consciousness and existence. And because we are already that, we don't know. We don't pray. Now here, for Dvitiya Khanda is starting now. So before we start Dvitiya Khanda, I will want to give some additional points. Then we go to the actual mantras. See, let us take the example of the clay. And then let us take the example and a pot. Okay, this is clay and pot. Now, what is the relationship between them? This is a karana and this is the effect. Means without this, this doesn't exist. The properties of this are completely on this. This precedes this. Cause precedes effect. There can be many effects, but only one cause. Okay. Then Effect is in the cause, but unmanifest. So what is cause? The product is already there, but in the unmanifest form. So in this case, cause is nothing but clay with unmanifest forms of clay. Whereas effect is clay plus manifested names and forms. So a lump of clay has potentially all the forms but unmanifest. This is a very, very important way to think, connect, to go to the next mantra. So in other words, you as existence consciousness, when you are in samadhi, when your mind is quiet, when you're withdrawn, pure, all in yourself, you are all the world, your world is inside you unmanifest. The same unmanifest world, when world manifests, it supports the world in it. It's a very important point. So, world is nothing but unmanifest in you as a consciousness. When it becomes manifest, it gets the name world. But it was there earlier unmanifest in totality, in unmanifest form, in potential form. That unmanifest names and forms are called Maya. When it is manifested, called Jagat. Again, unmanifested names and forms is called Maya. When manifested, it's Jagat. Now, let's go back to clay and pot. Now, what is the difference for us looking from the worldly point of view? Now, pot came out. It's a world, this is world now. Pot came out. Now, when we look at the pot, we forget it is made of clay. We only look at the pot. But it is actually clay pot. We don't even say clay pot. We say, if you say clay pot, we use clay as only an adjective, not as the root cause. Because we already forgot it's the root cause. There's a root cause. Number one. Number two, we only look at pot because it is apparent to us eyes. Pratyaksha. So our mind is on pot because it is pratyaksha. And number two, because we have utility value for it. We transact with it as pot. So our ascension is on transaction or vyavahara rather than root material. Same thing with consciousness. World exists because of consciousness, Sat and Chit. But we forget consciousness, which lends support to the whole universe. Our focus is on the names and forms. Vyavahara, because we're trained only think in terms of objects, not in terms of consciousness as universal reality, and then you are always free. But you are bound to small things which you attach yourself. So basically, our mind never thinks in terms of cause. Our mind also operates only in terms of effects. So we just, that is why we get caught up in effects. That's why teaching is required, that you are that infinite essential presence self. Then you are free. Then so many different problems are solved. So if you go in this route, same thing applies to Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Exactly same logic. The whole universe arises in consciousness. Without you, but now a very important question I want to answer here. 99.99% people, when we say whole consciousness, you, within you, world rises, we always think I means this body. So I always think inside this body, I have consciousness. And then you say, no, 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 imagine there is Brahman outside, and then within him, Subrahmanyam is teaching there is world. But now you are already broken yourself away from the consciousness as the eternal cause. So it has 4 steps. In the past, I mentioned in the Kathopanishad class and previous I mentioned, you first identify yourself as consciousness, and then when you suddenly realize that consciousness is not here only, it's everywhere. And number 3, that within that consciousness, everything appears. Just like in your dream, you appear. Consciousness is the root cause. Then, including your body, Jagat. Then you go to Samadhi immediately. There's no, so, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, not in this context, he gives a beautiful example. It is like this. Whole universe is covered by space. That consciousness is like that. It's not just limited to your body. You are thinking like that. That's why you got a problem. We got a problem. It is also in our body. When you think like that, you limit to itself. You are nama ruma. You are controlled by nama rupa. Don't think it's excess space. Number 1. Number 2. Now you bring a pot and put it here, and then you look at the space and say, okay, this pot has a space in it. But you made a mistake. The pot has come into space. The pot space was never pot space. It is space all along. You just gave a name, pot space, and then you bound to it. This room, the space in this room is already there before the room was built. Because the room was there only, I was able to put the walls because the space was there. So it's exactly the consciousness is already there, Satchit, and existence and awareness is already there. In that, our body appeared, and then you say, my body has consciousness. That was the mistake. So then, once you have body identification, then you have broken the consciousness, and then you are this, that, that. It is not like that. You are that unbroken consciousness in which your body also is just a name and form in your mind. Your mind is also an appearance. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya beautifully says it's just a appearance. Avasthana, the word he uses. I will read a lot, some of his bhasham today also. So, are you in the world or the world is in you? As consciousness and existence, you are there already. In that, you appear, and then you, without unknowingly, you split it. In Kathopanishad class, I mentioned it's like this. You just have, this is something that has a, when you say Sat and Chit, consciousness and existence, what you have to think like this is it is, it's not, see, the common mistakes we make, we need to correct them. It is not a part of the body, it's not a property of the body, and it's not a product of the body. It is not. In fact, body exists in consciousness. Because of consciousness, body appears. Even when the body drops, consciousness remains. Because it has never, conscious, body only appeared in consciousness. It was never consciousness. In other words, consciousness alone is appearing as body. There is no two. Just consciousness appearing as body and mind. Number 3. But see, this is the most important. The 4th point is very important. This is an indicator consciousness is there. Otherwise, you cannot, there is no pramana. This is most important. There is no pramana to know consciousness. Because all pervading, ever existent presence, which you are, but you cannot figure it out unless you use an indicator. Because of that, this exists, so you drop this, then you catch that. See, if I want to, if you ask me how, show me a light, I cannot show you light. Then I say, okay, can you see it? Yeah, because you can see there is a light. In the same way, because you can feel, because you can talk, there is awareness. Because there is a presence, there is Sat. But without this, that inference is also not available. So the body and mind, all the world is called Lakshana. It gives you a doorway. Mithya gives you a doorway to yourself. That's why it has value. So this mithya is an appearance in consciousness, but itself has no independent presence. Just like name and form by themselves have no independent value without gold. Same thing, everything has no independent presence without consciousness and Sat. Okay. Now with this introduction, which is extremely important, let us go to the mantra number 1 in section 2. Excuse me. Tadeva saumya idamagra asit ekamevadvitiyam tadhaika ahuhu asadevedam agra asid ekamevadvitiyam tasmadasataha sajjayeta. Sadeva saumya idamagra asit ekamevadvitiyam taddaika ahuhu asad eve idam agre asit ekamevadvitiyam. So this is one of the most important mantras of all the Upanishads. Sadeva saumya idamagra asit. Hey Saumya, dear boy, Sat eva idam agre asit. In the beginning, only existence. Only is there. No difference. Just pure presence, samadhi. No names and forms. Including your body drop. Nothing just exists. All pervading. Sadeva idamagras. Only consciousness and existence. All pervading. Eva. Automatically everything is there. Sat eva. Only Sat Asid is there. Now, now this is not new. We have covered few Upanishads. So in Mundaka Upanishad, it's called Aksharam Brahma. In Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. In Mandukya, it's called Turuya Brahma. In Chandogya, it's called Sat. Sat includes Chit also. I will tell later. When Nama Rupa, when it splits, Nama becomes Chit, Rupa becomes Sat. Okay. Right now it's unmanifest, only Sat. There is no need for Nama. But as I gave in the introduction, unmanifest Nama Rupa is there. Maya. Nama Rupa unmanifest is called Maya. There is a lot of discussion about what is the relationship with Maya and Brahman. I will tell you later. So Sat plus Avyakta Nama Rupa. But Avyakta Nama Rupa, you don't say it is different. It's Avyakta is Sadeva. Because Maya has no independent existence until a mind appears. It is mind created when it manifests, mind created. Namarupa, mind created. Okay. So when you say Sadeva, there is a lot of discussion on this by Shankar Bhagavan, Bhagavan Shankaracharya. But I will read that, explain a little bit more and then read that Bhashya because it's very powerful. So second sentence is Ekameva Advitiyam. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. Mantra 1. Second sentence is Ekameva Advitiyam. Without any second. When you say Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit Ekameva Advitiyam. Ekam means there is no duality. So there are no two Brahmans, only one Brahman. Sajatiya, Vedha is not there. There is no two Brahman, only one. Ekam. Eva Advitiyam. So there are three types of differences in normally. Sajatiya means two of the same, like a human being and human being. Vijatiya means different species. Third difference is Swagata. Within the same species, there are different parts. So Ekam dispels Sajatiya, means there are no two Brahmans, there are two beings of same kind. Eva dispels Swagata, changes within the same person, like hands versus body, nose versus head. No. So it's uniform oneness. Basically, that's what it is. Advitiyam. There are no two species. Like God one, God two. No, there's only one God. Advitiyam. That is a Brahman. When you include Maya, it's called Ishvara or God. But it is unmanifest. As is, until the mind comes out, Maya is not actually, names and forms are not really real. So here I will read some important bhashya of Bhagavan, because this is extremely, you know, there's a lot of discussion in this, in scriptures, and then tremendous amount of thought goes into this. Just want to see. He says, it's a lot of, I'm not going to, I'm just giving you highlights. What Bhagavan Sankaracharya says is that Sat is also present now everywhere as uniformly, but because of our mind, we break it up. But it is all same, Sat is there even now, number one. प्राग उत्पत्ते तु अग्रे केवल सच्छब्द बुद्धिमात्र गम्यम एव इति सदेवेद अग्रमासीत इति अवधार्यते. But before names and forms are manifested, it is only unmanifest, Sat only. Nahi प्राग उत्पत्ते नामवत् रूपवत् वा इदं इति ग्रहीतु शक्यं वस्तु सुषुप्त काले एव. Now here he says, make a beautiful point. Just like in deep sleep, when there is no objective awareness within consciousness, like that it was there. But that is Sat. It's a very important point. See, you can imagine yourself as you are in deep sleep and drop all your identifications. You are right now Brahman. Basically, that's what he's saying. यथा सुषुप्तात् उत्थितः सत्त्वमात्रम् अवगच्छति सुषुप्ते सन्मात्रम् एव केवलं वस्तु इति तथा प्राक् उत्पत्ते इति अभिप्रायः. Just like in deep sleep, everything has no real separate existence because you are not entertaining it by mind. In the same way, a world even now exists. Now he gives an example. Yatha idam uchyate. How is this? Ichyate. लोके पूर्वाह्ने घटादि शिशुक्षण कुलालेन मृत्पिंडं प्रसारितम् उपलभ्य ग्रामान्तरं गत्वा प्रत्यागतः अपराह्ने तत्र एव घटशरावादि अनेक भेद भिन्नं कार्यम् उपलभ्य मृत्येव इदं घटशरावादि केवलं पूर्णाह्नि आसीत् इति तथा यः अपि उच्यते सदेवेद इदमग्र आसीत् इति. It gives a nice story. A person is going to the next town in the morning, Purvahne, in the morning. He's going to a next town. As he's going to the next town, he saw a potter has a lot of clay spread around. With the desire to make pottery and then other equipment. Then in Paradne, he comes back, the same person is returning back. Then he sees a bunch of pottery and then plates and then vases and all that. Then he thinks, then he tells himself, the person who went to different village came, he says, Okay, this the same clay has become all these things. In the same way, when you wake up from deep sleep, you remember everything was in me, now that is appearing outside. Ekam eva iti. The ekam word Bhagavan explains very beautifully. He says, Sarv swakarya patitam anyat na asti iti ekam eva iti uchyate. So, this case, when the parts and then wages and all this appear, in the same way, out of consciousness, the world appears. But the world, the consciousness has not left. It is still the same. Even the effects appear, they are nothing but consciousness only. Iti. Advitiyam iti mrud vyatirekena. Just like nothing is different from clay, from your eternal consciousness. As I said earlier, if you break yourself into body, then you see a problem because you're already transacting as Vyavahara. But in Vyavahara, you have to separate from absolute. Right. Now, Ekena Bhagavan says, in the case of the pottery making, there are three principles involved. One is the pot, other one is the potter. Sulaladi nimitta karanam. The potter is the efficient, intelligent cause. Efficient cause. And then kulaladi, and then some equipment is also there. All of them are the causes for the manifestation of the pot out of the clay. But in the ekameva advitiyam, the word ekam, he is saying, Bhagavan is saying, combines all of them as the power of Maya and Ishvara. So there are no other effects, only consciousness appears as many. Samsthana matrena, Bhagavan says in some comment to somewhere else, na asya dvitiyam vastvantaram vidyate iti advitiyam. There is, without any secondary confusion, Bhagavan clearly says, there is no such thing here. It is advitiyam, only consciousness existence, everywhere, all the time. Appearance is still only appearance. It's only as real as your mind gives reality. In the beginning, which I did not read, I will read that part. Idanim api idam sad eva. Number one. Kintu nama rupa visheshanavat idam sadda buddhi vishayam cha idam cha bhavati. Even though names and forms are there, it is still consciousness only. Just like consciousness has capacity. In a dream, you see it all the time. Drusti srusti. It is. As you see, as you create like that. If you see Shiva, you see Shiva everywhere. If you see Narayana, you see Narayana everywhere. But if you want to see your ego, then you see your, your money, your houses. That's all you are seeing. Nothing more than what you create. There is a lot of discussion about almost 4 or 5 pages Bhagavan writes, but I just took the highlights because I want to make the only key points so that we don't get confused and don't get dragged into there's a Vaiseshika, Buddhist opinion, Tarkika opinion, and he counters all of them. So actually next one in the same mantra, okay. Tad tadhi eka ahuhu asadyeva agram agre asid ekameva advitiyam. Tasmad asataha sajjayeta iti. So some people, okay, I want to make sure I don't go. This is because some people say Tadhi eka ahu asadeva agramasit. See, this is extremely important. Why is he saying this? Is because that's the group we belong to. That's why he's actually touching this topic. Upanishad is touching this topic. Eke means many of us say asadeva agrasit. There's nothing there. Connect yourself to that. We say, oh, the sleep, there is nothing. Your mind was not there. Your consciousness, awareness as Sat is there. You exist. Your body is, heart is beating. You are there. Shiva is there without Jagat, Maya, manifest Maya, unmanifest names and forms there in you. Ekameva Advitiyam. They also say there is only Asat without anything, any differentiation. Still same mantra 1, second part of it. So first he said Sadeva Agrasid Ekamevad, only consciousness existence is there. Then I say Sat, you take both, okay? Because names and forms are unmanifest. But they have potentially, it is there. But now our mind thinks there's nothing there. There's nothing there. He's countering it. Nothing without any second, nothing is there. Tasma dasataha sajjayeta. People like us, when we wake up, we say, there's nothing, from nothing everything came. That's how we interpret this. Vedanta Shastra says, no, you are there, your consciousness is there, your existence is there. As in pure form. That's why you are not aware of. You are not aware. It's not pratyaksha. It is you. It is not an object. So, really, spiritual sadhana is nothing but recognizing you are that pure presence without any adulteration of body, mind, intellect, because you are already in it. You don't break it. I gave you 4 indicators. I will repeat those. You close your eyes and feel yourself, and then realize what you feel yourself is not just here, it's everywhere. And everybody is in that only. It's all pervading. Then you realize everything is in it. That's the 4th step. Even when you do puja in the morning, your mind stops, then don't stop there. See, what the thoughts comes, we just go to thoughts. No, you just go, stay in consciousness. That is samadhi. Now, mantra number 2. So basically, he said, some people say from nothing everything came because incorrectly they think when they are sleeping there is nothing. And then when the world came out, they say from nothing world came. Okay, that is second half of the first mantra. Then second mantra, he counters that. That's not true, he says. Let us read the second mantra. Yeah. कुतस्थु खलु सौम्य एवं स्यादिति होवाच कथम असतः सज्जायत इति सत्वेव सौम्य इदमग्रमासीत् एकमेव अद्वितीयम्. So he is now answering कुतस्थु खलु सौम्य एवं स्यादिति होवाच. How can something come out of nothing? Without gold, you cannot have ornaments, right? Without gold, ornaments cannot be there. So this is not logical. Kutastu kutaha here means what is the proof? Can there be any time anything out of nothing? Kutastu kasmat pramanam. What is this? What is the pramana? What is the proof for that? You are there. You are there that I had a good sleep. I didn't know anything. Your mind has stopped. That's all. So from you, you are the cause of the universe. So how is it possible? Kuta saumya, how is it possible? Asataha sajjayata iti. From nothing, something happens. How is it possible? Therefore, sattu eva saumya idam agra asit. Therefore, from Sat only Sat only was there in pure form. It's not an object, it is you. As I have mentioned before, in the purest form, you experience when you are doing puja deep, you can feel yourself. But you don't identify, you cannot recognize it because you are not trained. And then you have to think it is all pervading. It is all pervading. Even deep sleep, the sense of when the mind is not there, names and forms are there. When names and forms are there, you are unbroken consciousness. Pure presence. That's called Sat. It's not undifferentiated presence, existence. Called Sat. And that in which everything appears. It borrows existence and appears. That is Mithya. So he is concluding Ekameva Advitiyam. Satveva Somya Idamagrasit. What whoever says from nothing something comes, they can go to the shop. They don't have to go to the shop. They can just build a building out of nothing. They can create gold out of nothing, ornaments. Because that is asat from you cannot, there is no proof for that. There is no possibility, he's saying. So Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasit Ekameva Dvitiyam. In the beginning, only consciousness existence is there. And Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his commentary, he said it is just like a deep sleep where everything ceases, so there is undifferentiated consciousness. But when you seek effects, you go back and remember that. What is our happen? In the introduction, I said when we see effects, we forget the cause. Our mind is focused on utility. Then we forget the cause. You only see when you see a part, our mind is focused on the transaction, then you forget the cause. When I see my wife, I forget the consciousness appearing as Shiva appearing in that form and name. But transaction value overtakes the vision of Brahman. Without that presence, consciousness, you giving support, nothing is there. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om